$1 billion nuclear deal, signed in silence. A Prime Minister praising America while warning the West, and a country caught between Brussels and the Kremlin. Is Slovakia carving out its energy future or playing with geopolitical fire? Slovakia is pushing ahead with what is set to be the largest investment in its post-communist history, around $16 billion nuclear power project at Jaslovské Bohunice, without a public tender or parliamentary debate. The project, to be delivered in partnership with US-based Westinghouse, is being hailed by Prime Minister Robert Fico as a strategic leap forward. Critics, however, warn of democratic bypass and potential geopolitical entanglements.
This time, it's the long-anticipated plan to build a new nuclear unit at Jaslovské Bohunice. Initially, we sought to cooperate with South Korea as part of our diversification strategy. However, that partnership was terminated for objective reasons. As a result, we are now in active discussions with the American company Westinghouse. They offer a nuclear reactor with a capacity of 1,250 megawatts, which aligns well with our plans.
Fico's government argues that speed is essential. Economy Minister Denisa Saková pointed to slower processes in the Czech Republic, where a full public procurement process took nearly 4 years and cost hundreds of millions of euros. By contrast, Poland and Bulgaria have advanced faster with less bureaucracy.
We are in the stage of preparing an intergovernmental agreement between the Slovak Republic and the United States. From our side, this agreement has already been drawn up, and we are waiting for the final position of the United States of America.
While the agreement does not legally mandate the selection of Westinghouse, it all but guarantees a construction contract by 2027, pending feasibility studies and approval from the European Commission. That review, under the Euratom Treaty, is expected to conclude by the end of July. Despite the scale of the project, the decision-making process has occurred largely behind closed doors. Slovakia's parliament has yet to formally debate the initiative, and public consultation has been minimal. Opposition parties have been quick to accuse Fico of bypassing democratic norms. Fico has long championed nuclear energy, calling the 2008 closure of the V1 plant at Jaslovské Bohunice, a condition of Slovakia's EU accession, a strategic mistake. He now calls nuclear power a money-making machine and is determined to reassert Slovakia's energy sovereignty. Critics claim the Slovak Prime Minister's close ties to the nuclear sector and to key industry figures have influenced the process. Until late 2024, South Korean firms were seen as likely partners. But after a meeting at the US Embassy in May, Westinghouse emerged as the frontrunner. The government now insists that other countries, namely Russia, France and South Korea, are either politically unsuitable or technically restricted. Deputy Prime Minister Saková explained that Russia is excluded due to the war in Ukraine. France's EDF lacks capacity, and Korea's KHNP would require Westinghouse licensing. Yet in the Czech Republic, KHNP won a similar bid and was later challenged by EDF, suggesting competition remains very much alive. Opposition groups remain unconvinced. The Christian Democrats or the KDH have called for transparency and cross-party engagement, warning the project will bind Slovakia's finances for decades.
Slovakia cannot afford another poorly designed public investment that will be paid for by our children's children only for the benefit of a narrow group of people.
Other parties have gone further. The Libertarian SAS party is calling for a parliamentary commission to investigate. The Democrats have raised alarms about a possible Russian back channel, alleging unconfirmed talks between Fico and Moscow's Rosatom. Meanwhile, the government is moving ahead with a tender, not for the plant itself, but for a financial advisor to structure what could be a generationally defining investment. Westinghouse has offered to assist in securing loans, yet no detailed financing plan has been made public. The The nuclear deal forms part of a broader geopolitical recalibration by FICO'S government, which is simultaneously drifting closer to Moscow while maintaining commitments to Brussels and Washington. Earlier this month, Slovakia inked a uranium enrichment deal with Urenco, a UK-Dutch-German consortium diversifying its long-standing reliance on Russian nuclear fuel. A separate agreement with Kazakhstan's Kazatomprom was signed to source natural uranium and uranium dioxide. Slovakia is also working with Westinghouse and France's Framatome to reduce dependence on Russia's travel. Yet contradictions persist. Just days ago, Fico publicly questioned Slovakia's NATO membership, calling for neutrality and accusing Western leaders of deliberately provoking Moscow.
It seems that some European leaders have grown tired and bored of 80 years of peace. Those who believe, pray. Those who don't, hope that this madness of war will somehow come to an end. That arms manufacturers will simply line their pockets, just as pharmaceutical companies once did. That people will grow poorer, and we'll be left with warehouses full of useless weapons, just like the expired vaccines we have today. But planning and preparing for conflict with a nuclear superpower is an entirely different matter. As the Prime Minister of a small, sovereign country, I want no part in it. Provoking a conflict between a NATO member and Russia can be done easily, history offers thousands of examples. But what happens next? What kind of war would it be? Anyone who believes it can be controlled or regulated is gravely mistaken. As for the readiness of Western armies for such a conflict, I'd rather not even comment.
The remarks, though lacking immediate policy implications, have caused unease within the alliance, as NATO moves to strengthen its eastern flank amid continued Russian aggression in Ukraine. Just a few days ago, Fico pledged to support the EU's 18th sanctions package against Russia, securing guarantees from Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on gas prices and energy security.
At this point, dear friends, it would be counterproductive to continue blocking the 18th sanctions package tomorrow. All options for negotiations have been exhausted for now, and continuing in our blocking position would already threaten our interests. Therefore, I remind you of the instruction to our representatives in the EU to clear the way for the 18th sanctions package tomorrow. We vetoed the draft of the 18th sanctions package 6 times. Do you hear correctly? I repeat, 6 times. And during this time, we pressured the Commission to pay attention to the Slovak Republic, above all the impact of stopping the import of Russian gas on households and the economy. Which we undoubtedly succeeded in.
For Fico, nuclear power may be the key to energy independence, but the cost, economic, political and democratic, has yet to be fully calculated.